Chris Taylor, Executive Director of the Arizona Church Security Network, and today we're going to continue our short series of videos on why we need church safety and security ministries in our houses of worship. Today we're going to talk about people in extreme crisis, because what we know is one type of potential incident at our house of worship is going to be individuals in states of crisis. God brings people in crisis to our ministries, and we need to be prepared to minister to them, but we also need to keep safety and security in mind as we do so. We have to be prepared to minister, to listen actively, and to pray with these people. Whether they're in a state of severe mental illness, whether they're under the influence of alcohol or drugs, whether they're facing any other type of crisis in their lives, people are going to be drawn to the church. And we need to be prepared to listen and minister to them and know the resources in our communities that we can share with them. We also know that churches will oftentimes attract suicidal people, and we need to be prepared to meet the needs of potentially suicidal people who come onto our campuses as well. When we talk about people that have a suicidal ideation or have a plan to commit suicide, what we know is that 5.76% of the people in extreme crisis at churches, out of all of those that perpetrated deadly force incidents at houses of worship in this country, 5.76% were suicidal. And what we know is to get to the point where you're able to take your own life, you've already broken down a lot of different psychological barriers. And so what we know is that there's not always a great distinction between somebody who is suicidal and somebody that is both suicidal and homicidal. And so we want you to recognize some of the inherent dangers as we work with people who are experiencing suicidal ideation or have actually planned to commit suicide. When we look at suicidal individuals and that faith-based security network deadly force incident study, we see 152 suicides that occurred at United States churches from 1999 to 2019. During that 20-year period, 152 suicides. During the 20-year period of 2000 to 2019, the Federal Bureau of Investigation identified 15 active shooter events that took place at faith-based organizations in the United States. That means that we are much more likely to have somebody involved in a suicide than an active violence event at our houses of worship when we look at the statistics. So we need to be prepared and equipped to handle people that are experiencing suicidal thoughts and ideations. One of the resources, and we want you to look into the local resources in your area, but a national resource that all of us have the ability to reach out to is 988. And 988 is the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. And that lifeline is manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can call 988 from anywhere in the United States, and you can talk with somebody on that crisis line. And so we encourage you to seek this and other resources that you can safely refer people who are experiencing suicidal thoughts and that you are interacting with on your campuses. We want you to think about some different questions as you're actively listening to what those people are saying. And we want you to be listening. Does the person have a plan? Have they thought through how they're going to commit suicide? Does the person have the means to commit suicide with them? Whether they have a weapon or whether they have medication. Do they have that ability right now, the means? And do they intend to kill him or herself right now? What are they saying? We're not going to have to ask these questions directly necessarily. A lot of the answers can be gleaned as we're actively listening to this person in crisis. And we have to know, who are the resources at our church? Do we have a pastoral counselor who we may be able to have come out and talk with the individual? Are there crisis teams in our community that we can call to come out and respond? Is it a serious enough incident that we need to call local law enforcement and have them involved? We need to be familiar with all of the resources, and we need to have a plan to safely and effectively minister to people in a wide variety of crises. We have to keep in mind, as a safety and security ministry, our active listening skills and our ability and willingness to listen and pray with people is essential. We have to remember, I don't have to close my eyes to pray. I can have a safe distance between me and the individual I'm praying for, and I can pray with that reactionary gap and my eyes open as I minister to this person. But we absolutely need to minister to them while at the same time keeping our safety and security and the safety and security of all of those on our campus in mind. Join us next time as we continue to look at why we need church safety and security ministries in our houses of worship.